Fresh, clean water, an essential commodity, but it's not immediately noticeable whether the water contains toxic substances. For years, scientists and politicians have been warning that pesticides are travellers without passports, especially POPs, persistent organic pollutants, which can enter the food chain and accumulate in the human body. They find their way into the food of poor farm workers and onto the tables of wealthy people in towns. Tranquil, majestic in the dawn light, Lake Rukwa in West Tanzania, a part of Africa with unparalleled wildlife, an abundance of fish and clean drinking water. In the rainy season, however, the lake overflowed and flooded sites where dinitro-orthocresol, a pesticide used to fight the red locust, was stored. Leaking tanks, corroded drums. The poisonous chemical mixed with the water and thus entered the food chain. DNOC is classified by the World Health Organization, the WHO, as 1B, highly hazardous. Workers carefully emptied the contents into new drums. The idea behind this pilot scheme was to dispose of the DNOC in the rotary kiln of a local cement factory. The process heat, up to 2000 degrees Celsius, was ideal for incinerating pesticides. The DNOC was diluted with diesel oil and fed into the kiln via the oil lance. Behind the plexiglass shield, the waste introduction system. One of the imported explosion-proofed electric pumps was used to forward the toxic chemicals into the mixing tank. Due to the chemical structure of DNOC, no new elements needed to be added during the clinker manufacturing process. The carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen in the pesticide were converted into carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, water and nitric oxide. Tests showed no adverse effect on the clinker quality, and the dust had no detrimental effect on the environment. Pure air from the stack. A lance was fixed in position to which a sensor was connected to measure the flue gas temperature, the carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and nitric oxide content. The result, pure air over the beaches and residential districts of Oyster Bay. For the first time, a large quantity of highly toxic pesticide was successfully incinerated in a developing country. Korogwe, in the Tanga region. Here they cultivate sisal, although many sisal factories have closed down. A few blades of grass grow over the ruins of a factory. In front of a completely new shed, a sign warns that this is not pasture land for goats. Pesticides have been stored in the open, protected against rainwater by a simple corrugated sheet metal roof. The authorities sounded the alarm, and eventually walls of corrugated sheet metal were erected around the storage depot. It's rumoured that DDT is stored here. What do these 5-kilogram plastic bags really contain? The samples taken should provide an answer. 2 years later, a group of men appear in special protective clothing and breathing masks. First of all, they fill the pesticide into small plastic sacks, then into big bags in order to ship it to Europe. The shed is also torn down. The end of 50 tons of DDT dust and 56 tons of contaminated debris from the shed in a high-temperature incinerator in Germany. Mali, a vast country south of the Sahara, a country with a rich heritage, the source of Africa's gold, a centre of learning. A river supporting life and agriculture, the Niger. It seems like only a stone's throw to the inhospitable Sahel zone. For decades, generations of locusts had lived an individual existence in the endless expanse of the desert. All of a sudden, huge numbers of larvae hatch, form swarms, and descend on anything edible. Gao is the gateway to the Sahara. A door bars the entrance to a large storage depot, which houses pesticides for the whole region east of the Niger. Numerous drums are leaking. The sandy floor is soaked with chemicals. In the region east of the Niger, pesticide residues are still a source of potential danger. The Tuaregs come here to water their camels. Just a few meters from the well was a steel tank riddled with bullet holes. The dieldrin it contained has seeped into the desert sand. Today, the group of experts have to listen to angry protests from the local people. The well is poisoned. The nomads suffer from headaches, especially in the village of Tin Esako. The women have become infertile.
You can't get children anymore.
Tin Esako currently provides a temporary place to live for Tuaregs and locusts. Here they have their breeding grounds. A tennis court in the middle of the Sahara? Hardly. Wasn't there a pesticide storage depot here? Where have all the drums gone? According to the lists available, 48,000 litres of crop protection agents were stored in the depot. Removing just a few spadefuls of sand reveals the evidence. Here's the outline of a drum containing pesticides. On this site, there are dozens of all types of crop protection agents, mainly dieldrin, aldrin, endrin, lindan and HCH, in both solid and liquid formulations. In 1992, during what was known as the Tuareg Rebellion, these pesticides were rolled out of the depot over there and partially emptied. The drums are concealed under rubber matting, well protected from above, but what about underneath? The soil samples don't only turn up sand. Here you can see the contamination. Here's a spot where solid pesticides can clearly be identified. The region desperately needs new wells. The prerequisite for that is a clean environment. During the return journey, the experts discussed how best to dispose of contaminated land, sealing it in concrete, gasification or incineration on site using a mobile kiln. It's not only a question of logistics, but rather of the costs involved. The people of Africa have a right to enjoy a clean environment. It should remain a guarantee for the future.